right. Hello and welcome on back to the Joker Tower. Now, I actually just flew in from the other side of the world today. And it's pretty intense, but um, just wanted to kind of document a little bit of that and some things that I've been musing over the time. But I was gone for a while. I was over in Thailand and Vietnam, so for like 2.5, 3 weeks. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Interesting stuff. So I mean, I guess let's start with like the graffiti and stuff, and also let's see if we can do most of this exploration. Oops. Except for I do need to see. Okay, so we are to the east of our base map. Okay, that makes sense. So I keep trying to push the trackpad to bring up the menu. I haven't played any video games in that whole time. So wait, what did? Okay, so now. And I think if the goal was to eventually actually wait, let's make sure we get to the corner and get these last two dots, or maybe three. So, but anyways, where are they? Already, I forgot about this biome that we were exploring, and this is pretty cool. In fact, I think that might be an igloo. Let's go check it out real quick. And those blues, I think, are just blues. Or is this an igloo? No. I think sometimes they show up in the icebergs or the. It just looked like a. It looked like a structure. No, sorry, not to be like super racist after just getting back from an Asian place, but that wasn't my intention. I just thought of Miss Swan on Fox, back when Fox had Mad TV and Simpsons and stuff like that. So, anyways, back to Vietnam. So the first thing I want to say is like it was a really funny thing. I got into the taxi to go to the airport, and the taxi driver he heard me speak English, and right away he goes, "Oh, American," and he didn't speak any English, just like I don't speak any Vietnamese. And Vietnamese, same with Thai. They are both very unique. Like they're like, I mean, because Chinese and Japanese, like they kind of look similar, and like you can kind of see like, oh, well, they both have like, these very fancy calligraphy-looking symbols that it's interesting how you can change them. I don't even know the first thing about it too. I've just like briefly looked at them, but no. And Thai has like a bunch of like alien-looking writing with circles and dots, and it gets into like this like I don't even know a lot of vertical lines and just really confusing to look at. And then like same with Arabic. Arabic like I'm trying to learn some Arabic right now and that's why I feel bad. Like I should have learned some Vietnamese and some Thai going to those places, but yeah. And that's kind of like the embarrassing thing, but also like, or it's like bittersweet. Like it's nice and handy that almost the whole world speaks English, except for this taxi driver. Um, and then, yeah, it's a shame because everybody else is learning this very complex language that and granted, England speaks it too, and Scotland and like a lot of Europe has already been speaking it for a while. And even all the way back to the World War II, the Germans, they would learn English because, hey, you might want to know what your enemy's talking about, like, or how to communicate. And especially, and even not just that, like, from a humanistic standpoint. So I was just watching that Brad Pitt movie with the Troy about Achilles, and I don't even know if that's. I feel like Achilles is more of like a Herculean thing, but either way, like Troy, or maybe that's where. See, I forgot my history. It's been so long since I've like learned about any of that. But the reason I bring that up is there's a part in the movie where something bad happens, and one of the warriors, like this prince, I think the Prince of Troy, like says to the Prince of Greece, or not even the prince. It was just a soldier, like a lieutenant or a sergeant or, you know, whatever, like squad leader for Greece. And it had a lot of like 300 vibes with like just like the conquest for the sake of conquest. Like, if your army fights for mine, and I'm sure a lot of it is historically accurate. Like, I mean, I feel like they would try to do that with a movie like that, but then like really hype up the fighting and stuff, like almost ridiculous. And it's kind of funny because in Minecraft, when you do a jump slash, I feel like that's more damage than just 'cause I see other YouTubers do it, and I feel like in at least like in Bed Wars and stuff, it's more danger or more damage inflicted from a jump attack. But then a lot of that's probably still the underlying mechanics for this. Sorry, we're talking about Vietnam. But no, soldiers being able to communicate with each other. They're both speaking English. I mean, who knows what they talked Greek and whatever was spoken at the time. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's another thing, but like rulers of nearby, well, it was all Mesopotamia, so good chance they spoke similar. And that's the thing with Asia too. Like Vietnamese and Korean, Chinese, Japanese, and Thai, even though they do look very different in writing, like they sound very similar. And then I've heard that like, well, like Chinese is even split into a few like subcategories. Like there's traditional and man or no, traditional, and then I forget what the other one's called in Google Translate, but I think it's like shorthand version or something. But yeah, traditional is like the more complex with more letters. But anyways, the soldiers communicated like, "Hey, that's enough for today. Let's stop fighting. Like this horrible thing has happened. Let's just take a break for a day." And so they took peace for a day. You know, and I've said it before, like our own history with George Washington attacking on Christmas morning and just like totally killing people across the freezing river. Like we don't really have a leg to stand on as far as like, always having like what's this that saying all's fair in love and war, and like no, that is not true. It's not true at all. I want to say at least yeah, I've had at least 3 women say they were pregnant to try to stay in a relationship. It's ridiculous. Like, no, that's not fair. Don't be playing on my emotions, Smokey. I also watched Friday on one of the flights back from LA to Denver. I met this really cool dude from LA, which is some Asian dude, but like his English was very good. He has, like kids that are going to school in California and stuff. So like we just happened to meet in South Korea, like in the airport layover, and like and some other dude that was also going. Well, I guess we were. Sorry, that sounds surprising that we were all like happened to be going to the same place, but it was the waiting area for the flight. Anywho, so and we were using a charge stations. Like charge stations and technology bring people together. And while all of us had to put down our phones because otherwise they don't charge all that good, and like I mean, and I actually ended up swapping out for my laptop charger, which is the USB-C. And like they in South Korea, or at least in the I forget the name of it. Like, it's like ICN, I think, Ichin or something. Anyways, I've now been there twice. I went there on the way out and the way back, so it was funny. And I saw this little robot like cleaning thing, and it was like a Roomba, but like on steroids, and kind of like the police bots that we have in places. But see, well, 2 things. I don't really go out that much anymore, so I don't go to the mall or anything. So even if we did have mall robots that look like this thing, which actually now that I think about it, it was the same like size and shape of like the little white police robots you see, like almost like a leaning trapezoid, kind of like really thin, like almost like a sim person type thing, but without a head or arms, just like this rectangle. So not really a sim at all, but like that's why the shape is skewed. It's like flattened and laid back. Anyways, and it's about as much respect as Paul Blart's Mall Cop. Like, I mean, you could just toss it, like, knock it over, toss it in a pond. Like, I've seen some pretty funny memes about that. But, anyways, don't do that. Don't attack robots. One of these days, they might be able to attack back, especially after seeing China's stuff. But, anyways, and I'm probably going to go to China one of these days. And I got to be really careful, and here's why. The whole point of why I wanted to talk about this taxi driver in Vietnam. And granted, like, we had a really great ride. Like, I mean, he was very polite and he was very nice. But the very first thing that he said to me, which was just weird, is like, "Oh, America." And, okay, second thing, he types up on Google Translate. He has a phone for guy. He's like 2 chains. He's got 2 phones. And we did talk about ladies as part of it. Like, so our cultures were that. And he was like a lot younger than me, I think. Like, I mean, at least by like 10 years, I'd say. Like, I mean, just like college age or like 20s. I'm almost in my 40s, like, so I'm old. I'm a dad. Like, I'm on the other end of the hill, so I'm king of the hill. No, that's Hank. So ooh, look at that. We have villager outpost and a village. Ooh, and possible death. I mean, it's close. Like, if I took all that fall damage at the same time, maybe, or consecutive. So, but anyways, second thing he says to me is Vietnam is better than America. I'm like, this mother, like, who is this guy? Like, hi, nice to meet you too. Your country sucks. Like, oh, we're better. But then it kind of like I get it now. Like, actually, as I say it out loud like that, like we're better. I was like, huh. And then I followed up with like, have you been to America? And he's like, no. I was like, ah. But then I did say, because I did have a wonderful time in Vietnam. I saw monkeys, I saw warthog, I saw crocodiles, which actually you could go down to Florida and see a lot of that too, or Costa Rica. But in fact, I did in Costa Rica. But these monkeys were a lot cooler than the monkeys I saw. And there was a lot more of them too. They were smart. Like they took one of our groups, we did a tour group, and they took one of our group's sunglasses and then bartered for food. Like they know to barter. They take a hat, sunglasses. We saw this other couple from like some European country, I think, or some English speaking. Anyways, actually, I don't even know about English. Let's leave that out for this part. But and dude got his baseball cap stolen, and they gave the monkey a banana for it. The lady tried to like use an empty water bottle at first, but the monkey wasn't having it. He could see that, or she could see that, like, there's no water in that thing. I mean, maybe if it had water in it, like if it was like a legit water bottle, especially if it was unopened, like I wonder if they would understand, because they can open bottles. They know how to open bottles, and I wonder if they understand the difference between a fresh popped seal, which I did see an even different way that a threaded cap was like sealed over there. That was like had these three parts, still the circle, like a circular cap that twists off, and like instead of having that band that attaches, it had the band split, like completely break in three spots, and then like hang down by hanging chads, stubs. Actually, hold on. I don't think we're gonna get this whole map in half an hour. We've only gotten one line, one column. Come on, Dolphin, push. Oh, and the ominous music's going. So anyways, he said that, and then we talked about like girls, and we talked about food, and he said the food is better here. Um, what else did he say? The food is better here, the girls are cuter here, and I kind of made a joke like, yeah, we're all fat in America, and I like, because that was an easy thing I could communicate without words. I just put my hand on my belly and like made it look like it was growing outward, and I was like, America, and so, and then he's like, America is violent or something, or America is dangerous. And I said, yes, or no, that I don't think he said America fight Vietnam. Maybe he did, because I also went to the war memorial of the American War, is what they call it down or over there. It actually is down. Like Thailand and Vietnam are closer to the equator. Maybe not Vietnam so much, because I think that's going back up north, like on the other side of China. See, I don't even know. I know I flew there. I have to look in a map or on a map and be like, okay. But Thailand definitely. Like Thailand is like it was a lot closer to the equator than Colorado. I guess it's more like Central America. And Central America is pretty warm. So. Anyways, and we were joking about that, and I am a little pudgy too, so like that's fair. Like even just in that car, we had a skinny Vietnamese guy, like, and I don't know. So the next question that I asked him actually was like near the end of the ride, and it was kind of like a deal, like a not deal breaker, a mood breaker. That sounds kind of sus. No, it was more. The conversation took a turn, an awkward turn. So he kept talking about China, and I noticed they have like red flags with red flags with the gold star in the middle. That's the Vietnamese flag. But then like even just driving around on the highways, like we saw like the hammer and sickle communist thing. Communist Party is alive and well over there, and now like all these people that were on TikTok, which I deleted TikTok because it was messing with my phone. I wanted to check it out, see what it's like, and nah, it was fun, but it seems like way too much. And anyways, and now people are like supposedly finding out about China being all better than the U.S. in certain areas, and then the U.S. is still better than China in certain areas, and they're kind of going back and forth, and there's like censorship going on, which is to be expected. Like I remember hearing about this guy that wanted to advocate for LGBTQ rights at where was it? Qatar? It was one of those, I think it was Qatar, like where the FIFA was, and then. And see, I don't follow FIFA. It's not just I didn't watch that particular one. I don't watch any of them. Like when I had roommates from Saudi Arabia, like we would sometimes watch the game, or I'd at least see who's playing, and so I'd kind of have an idea. And so, Anyways, so I think it was in Qatar, and if not, it was one of those countries where homosexuality is illegal, or how I like to call it, non-traditional companionship. Because then you're not placing like love and husband and wife and like very strict. Oh, are you gonna fight the fox? No, fox, run! I mean, that wolf dog was definitely out for blood. So, anywho, um, so he's talking about China. Sorry, let's get back to that. so, Um, and so I said, because one of my campaigns, my side projects, has been trying to convince China to legalize cannabis. Now, it's a strange goal, and a lot of people would be like, "Why? Why would you do that? Like that sounds like problematic. That sounds not fun or very good." And it has been met with a wide variety of like disrespect to respectful. Please don't leave us alone. All you do is drugs over in America. Blah blah blah. I mean, and they're not wrong. Like we've got the Mexican cartels there, and I will say, I had my party days. So, as far as the cartels, like meth, heroin, all like the really hard stuff, yeah, maybe don't do that. And I love Breaking Bad and watching it, but I don't like. If anything, well, I wouldn't snitch out, but I definitely would not support. I used to call them tweakers, and I used to be kind of at war with tweakers back in the day. Anyways, it's not my cup of tea. Never has been. Never tried it. Never will. Lost, at least not knowingly. So, anyways, we'll get into that one day, maybe on a paid channel. I'm just kidding. Um, no, it actually was funny. One of my football coaches, when I went back home for a visit, which I rarely ever do, he was asking me, he's like, "Are you done with all that nonsense?" I'm like, "Yes, sir. I don't even drink anymore," which is true. I didn't go ahead and tell him about. No, I'm just kidding. But advocating for natural hippie things. And I actually just commented on someone on the X app. They did they're a hippie from Kentucky, so it's funny. I do hippie things from Colorado, even though I try to teach computer science, talk about that. And this is like social engineering too, like trying to get China to legalize cannabis because it's the end game or the long game of like the macro level solution to one of our biggest problems in society, and that is, I wouldn't even say Cold War because that's a little too far, but like the tensions between the U.S. and China and how there's like a delicate relationship. And I know that their culture is based upon like sobriety, yet they have the opioid epidemic from the British. Like I mean, they were too nice and inviting, kind of like the natives. Like it's human nature, so it's not that surprising. But it is surprising that they've maintained for so long. Oh, look at that iceberg like structure deep underneath, like bigger. It looks like. So, anyways, or at least longer. Looks like it's actually more hefty on the top. So, anyways, um, what were we even talking about? China, trusting of the British and the opium epidemic, which, funny enough, psychedelics treats and cures addiction to hard drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. So, I mean, and there's various studies about that. Like the main headline about mushrooms specifically, and also just psychedelics, is depression, and not just any depression, like the severe, I forget what it's called, like chronic depression or heavy depression or incurable. I don't know. Like I forget what it's called. Ah, man, we're just gonna be stuck here, are we? Okay. Just got to make sure to round the corner and finish off this row and then get back to it. So, anyways, I asked him, I was like, "Do you think China will ever legalize wheat?" And I just start WEE, and he instantly says, "No. No, 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 no." Like, very enthusiastically, no. Like, I offended him. I'm like, "Whoa, okay." We were just laughing about fat Americans and stuff. And I couldn't really tell his tone. But like I said just a little bit ago, like when he said Vietnam is better than America, she'd be like, "Yeah, but we were better." It's like how I would say it if I was in a taxi driving with a smile on my face and be like, "Oh, but we're better." I could see myself saying that. But because of some of the nonverbal communication, and understood, like, I don't know what he's like. I don't know, like, a lot about, like, Vietnamese customs and stuff. So, and then after that, Well, we talked a little bit. We talked a little bit, but I could tell he was a little like nervous and kind of like anxious and sad, almost upset, like bothered. And then I said again, I just kind of was like, interesting that, like weed, and then no, no, no. And I really emphasized that like strong reaction because it's like, but you're not China. Like you're very proud of, your own identity. And so, and I think that's just because the Communist Party and like communist governments out there are so closely intertwined. And that's fine. I mean, that's like, us in Canada. Like, that's totally understandable, eh? Um, I worked with this really cool Canadian. Uh, be a Canada, don't be a Candida or something like that. Anyways, my point being, it was just interesting to see like a perspective. And granted, I don't think he was into that stuff anyway. And he could have been like, I know a lot of people like I would have used to call them prudes, but a more respectable term is just those that don't care to partake, those that who would rather not use cannabis or THC products. Like, and that's the other thing too. I've been seeing fake weed come out, and I've been like arguing with these people about it's like THCA or something that when it's burned or melted, like when heat is applied, it turns into THC. So it's like, I lost my stash in a series of small fires. Like, yeah, like everybody applies heat to it and it turns into the smoke with THC in it. So anyway, sorry, I'm not trying to like instruct people. And these are videos for adults. It's not made for kids. At least the what is it, 13? Or not even 13. 11? 10 or 11. Yeah, cuz yeah, ten's part of it. Fifth grade is when I had DARE. So I had a police officer come in and tell us all about substances. And they taught us about substance abuse. In fact, DARE stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. Abuse means use in an irresponsible way. See, a lot of people don't think that. They just think prohibition. Like, no, you can't be using drugs. Don't ever use them. If you touch the devil's lettuce or the devil's dandruff or any of these things, like, and actually, that's the scary thing. Like, needles and meth and heroin are like the three things that you never do, ever, ever. I one time had this biker dude try to convince me to use a needle one night. No! I mean, I was polite about it. I was like, nah, nah. And it was almost like the no means no. And like, it felt kind of like, I could kind of understand how like when girls or ladies are pressured into intimacy, like no, no, and I don't know why the dude really wanted me to. Like I think he felt weird doing it when I wasn't. Anyway, sorry, we don't need to talk about that, but it's just peer pressure doesn't always have to equate to, and even though he was very persistent, I stood by it. And then I later donated a lot of plasma and they compensate you for your time. They don't actually buy your plasma for some like moral, ethical, or taxational reasons or what have you, but they will compensate you for the time it takes to donate plasma. It was like $30 twice a month at least, and maybe twice a week. It could have been that twice a week, $60, two times, $30 a pop. Yeah, that was probably it. And so that's a good couple 30 racks of beer. I mean, almost. Like you might have to pitch a little bit. So that would supply a party. And bonus, when you donate plasma, you get drunker easier. I'm just kidding. Do not do that. Oh, and I think they even told us, they're like, don't go out drinking after this. And I remember I met a lady friend. I was like, and imagine me telling someone all this, like the taxi driver, and they're just looking at me like, what the heck? Like, who is this guy? But I did tell him, I was like, Colorado has legal weed. Like, and I did the puff puff, like with a joint symbol with my hand. Because that was another one. I was like, oh, I'm sure he knows this. And there's graffiti all over. And I was in Ho Chi Minh City. So there's graffiti all over. There's a mafia district. One of the tour guides told us about a mafia district. I think it was District 7. And it was just funny because I was like, we have graffiti too. I've been taking pictures of graffiti in every country I visit. In fact, one of these days I'll unleash the Instagram, but right now it's private because I don't really care to deal with a bunch of bots. And I mean, I do, just not with my own, don't poo where you eat type situation. And so I don't want to ruin my Instagram with a bunch of bots. I do want to make an Instagram and study a bunch of bot behavior and like, reverse psychology and social engineer them, study them, expose them, yada yada. And I still report bots or people that are impersonating people on XApp because I just can't stand for that. Like I got swindled by a Facebook profile that said it was Snoop Dogg. I was like, no way, Snoop Dogg. And get this, Redman reposted. Oh, so that's another thing that happened on my little vacation. Well, it was a work thing, but um, like Redman, the Redman, he just put out Muddy Waters 2, and that's what I think I'm gonna do after this. We're gonna do. We only have a few more minutes of this one left. And we got about a third, quarter of our map discovered. But anyways, Redman reposted something that I posted. I quoted his post about Muddy Waters 2, and it's an awesome album. Like, and that's why like I'm doing the Fortnite. I'm going to switch to Fortnite, by the way. And I also got to do one more. Sorry, I need to recognize that. And I was going to do that if we were back in the city, but we're out exploring this map. But I did find out that one of my other friends passed away. And I don't know, like he used to struggle with quite a few things, criminal thinking, substance abuse, but maybe even just substance use. And there is definitely a difference. And Dare taught us to, the falling out of the teeth and the scratching of the skin. I was talking to a drug addiction counselor actually, and she was telling me about one of the patients and that had scratched like pox in his face and stuff, and he was using the old meth there, and but um, yeah, come to think of it, I've been pretty. Anyways, no. Back to Vietnam, though. So we have graffiti, and I've done a little bit of graffiti, not much. Like I feel like I would always get like permission if I ever were to do it again. And I don't like spray paint because I feel like they're not really all that great for the environment. I mean, I like Sharpies and like drawing on pieces of paper and things that I own. Like if I tag up my stuff, I don't feel as sketch about it. Like I have this Sudoku book, and I'll do a video of all the Sudoku I did. And I actually screwed up a couple. Well, not surprising. On an airplane in an international flight, sometimes the lights go out so people can sleep or try to, and which I did sleep quite a bit, but I got my second wind tonight because I literally just got off like the last shuttle and like the last ventures to get home a couple hours ago, so exhausted. So, anyways, China and weeds. So I actually had a really good discussion. I've had a few good discussions, but they usually start out bad, and it's very similar to my political discussions with people. And I also reconnected with one of the political adversaries in some debates on President Trump before he was president. And I was trying to say all this and that, and then I was like bringing religion into it because this guy was secret military stuff, and he like probably killed people or something. And I'm just like, there you go. The Bible says don't do that. And like we got into a big argument with that. So with weed and Chinese people, first off, they have to have VPNs or have to be very careful discussing such things that are illegal. Um, because then like they'll have their eye on them and it's shameful and they'll be exposed and all this. But just recently I had a pretty good discussion thread with a guy I assume from China. He was defending China, and he kept saying "we" and stuff. He's like, "Please don't try to spread this. Like we are a strictly no drug place, and we are happy with it like this and stuff." It's like, well, yeah, you're happy, but have you ever seen the Simpsons episode with Otto where he's like, "Oh, you don't even need drugs to enjoy this concert, but they sure help it." Like, same with snowboarding and stuff. I used to smoke so much bud and smoke and snowboard, and it was the best. It was the most amazing thing. I was out there. I was athletic. I was like flying down a hill. I was teaching people from Argentina how to ski and snowboard. Like, not a lot. And then my buddy taught me that. Well, he actually ripped me off for quite a bit, but in the end, yeah, well, okay, without too exposed. Well, it's legal now. And actually, I was trying to. No, I wasn't even selling it. I was making a trade with mushrooms back in the day. And like, he ripped me off. He just took them. Just like yoink. And he had a buddy there too. Always with the buddy. Like, I kind of take that as a compliment. I've been ripped off a few times. Like, and I don't deal with any of that nonsense anymore. Except I am trying to make the hippie farm, which I'll continue to post that in the descriptions of these videos. But that's more for community corrections alternatives. Eventually, like I'm in no way sponsored or are they even aware of this as far as corrections goes, the government entity. So, but I am trying to like help with the emptying out of prisons for non-violent substance crimes. Now we did have a boot camp program up in Buena Vista, BVDOC. Oh, there's the alarm. Which we'll go a little longer on this. We'll snooze. We'll snooze because this is like we'll try to get at least half of this map. So. Anyways, oh, what's that? So, anyways, it's just interesting to see Asia act like that. And I've been talking on the X app and just basically explaining like weed isn't just, or and they still call it marijuana. I think they understand weed because at least in Vietnam, and I'm pretty sure the mafia district smokes a lot of it because they're drawing graffiti out there, and they're really good too. Like I really enjoyed looking at it, just like I enjoy watching the trains go by in Fort Collins, Colorado, where we have legal bud and legal mushrooms. Which is funny because I haven't done anything with mushrooms since they legalized it. I just got in trouble for them back in the day. And that's it. That's the big mystery. I used to be a hippie. Still am. But, like, you can get in trouble for certain hippie things. In fact, we used to go to this hippie farm. Not to blast anybody, but anyway, so. But they're legal now to gift. You can't sell them. And I can understand that. Like, not trying to make them a profit, or like a company, a business. I mean, I do like that for cannabis, but mushrooms are more sacred. They're more of like a spiritual, like, guide trip. The Native Americans used peyote and like, which are like cactus buttons or something that are similar, a hallucinogen that makes you feel in tune with nature and respectful of nature and want to live in harmony with nature, like a hippie. And mushrooms do a lot of the same stuff. And so, and I've experienced some spiritual journeys, and I think everybody on Earth should at least try one once in their life. Doesn't it could be whatever. Like there's several different types. There's DMT, which is way different. Watch Joe Rogan, like, and that's the thing with politics. There's that barrier, unfortunately, that because of who Joe Rogan sometimes supports, but he does. He had Zuckerberg on his podcast. Like he does a lot of things. He's had Trump on there, Elon, and I think he's tried to have like Democratic people on there as well to balance it out. But anyways, the spiritual side. So Colorado's experimenting with specifically depression, PTSD, and addiction are like the three big main things that lead to housing insecurity and homelessness. Because yeah, housing is super expensive, and that's why I love how our governor's doing work with like Fading West, that company that I actually reached out to them about the hippie farm. And I even told them, I was like, I think I want to make like a cannabis farm eventually, or just like an indoor hydroponics farm and aquaponics. Like I was just straight up with them. I was like, this is what I want to do with this. And so I need some housing units, and they already got like 218 with one subdivision in Buena Vista, and then another 63 or 61, I think, in this existing one. And that one's built, I'm pretty sure. But like I didn't actually go look at it. But then the 218 I think is still rolling out. But that's going to vastly make up for the Sleeping Indian trailer park that was torn down. I think the septic tank system was just a mess and it needed updating, and like the people couldn't afford to do it, so they just decided to evict everyone and tear it down or not renew their leases. Oh, and my Fortnite's updated. Yes, so we can switch to it after this alarm goes off again. And we'll just keep trying to. Did we miss? Or is this just. Like, how would I miss that? Interesting. Okay, it looks like I did. But anyways, and we'll do a Red Man Muddy Waters 2 appreciation thing. I got to be careful though. I don't want to freak him out. Like he reposted one of my things, and I said a couple funny comments on some of the other things that he reposted. Like, because in one of his videos, Booyakasha, which is about substances and adult sex work, and I really need to stop calling it prostitution, because that was another thing I've been debating with people, is like just legalizing adult work. And I have a buddy who's like, dad used to be like the adult video emperor, or had an adult video and an adult toy store empire in Colorado, New Mexico, like it like cross state lines. And I saw him like go to the VMAs, the Video Music or AVMAs, Adult Video Music Awards, and like with a bunch of porn stars basically. But now instead of that, we're calling them adult workers or adult entertainers, and I don't know. And I think that should be more normalized and streamlined, because it is inevitable that men will have needs and hungers, and and women too. I mean, it's not just the men. We got to be open about that, and everyone in between. It is natural to have like urges and stuff, and so, but that is yet another substance. The chemicals in your brain released from such things are a substance that can be abused, and you need to be careful. And South Park, again, for the win. South Park for the win every time. I still need to go to Casa Bonita. Haven't done it. It's expensive and it's far away, and I'll figure it out though, because I gotta go. I love Matt Stone and Trey Parker are like my idols. They are so funny. And South Park covers just about everything you could ever think of. And Randy has a pot farm and like a whole season of pot farm, I think. Like I haven't watched a lot of the new ones, but I memorized like the first 10 seasons. So anyways, where am I even going with that? Well, they talk about hallucinogens and stuff, but I mean, they're more specific, like, well, China and Asia stuff and all these other things. But anyways, I got derailed with that. So psychedelics, and we just kind of use that because ibogaine is another one that I've only heard of, and I haven't heard much. And Joe Rogan had this guy on there, and this guy, I think, was supported by like the governor of Pennsylvania or the governor of like North Carolina or like one of these states that I've never been to. And so I don't know what the climate is. I mean, like China's like that, yeah. Vietnamese or Vietnam is like that, okay. But then, I know like Idaho and what is it, Kansas, they still don't allow any weed. They don't care, no weed. And so it sucks because my buddy's got an RV park in Kansas, and I want to go, but if they're gonna be like that, no, I'm just kidding. I can go 2.5 weeks. No, I'm just kidding. And we're in overtime on one of the random obscure things. I feel slightly better, but you still got to be careful because it's still illegal federally. It's ridiculous. So, anyways, we're getting close to half done now. I mean, I guess including the section of the map that was already done, I feel like, yeah, maybe halfway is justifiable. Is it worth it doing the boat? Yeah. Come on. Okay. So, anyways, um, so yeah, Dare. We learned about it. I got pulled over by the Dare party car. It had a bunch of colors and like fancy decorations. And we had the boot camp in DOCBV where people, nonviolent subs or nonviolent offenders, could go through a boot camp, a military style boot camp, getting yelled at and having to do like things and stuff. I'm gonna take that crying obsidian. And basically, they would get commuted sentences. They would get time off or time served on their sentences. I don't even know how much, but it was a very good program that at least drew attention to the idea that, hey, these people aren't violent or dangerous, or like mostly they're just dangerous to themselves, except for maybe the dealers. But even then, it's like, you're only giving consenting adults for the most part what they want. So it's like Breaking Bad with Gale and all that. Like that's what he says is like exactly that, and I agree. Like to a point. I mean, that's how fentanyl gets in the black markets and stuff, and it becomes dangerous. So let's also take the gold. Yar. Okay. So, anyways, and Colorado's starting it. Oregon's doing it. Seattle or like Washington, I feel like, but I don't think it's legal there. But I've seen dispensaries advertise mushrooms and like psychedelics and stuff. And maybe if they're not like the real ones and they're like, but I feel like I've seen them advertised as like, yay, these are the real ones, in better words. So, anyways, yeah, but Ibogaine. I want to say Joe Rogan had him on there, but if not, he also talked separately. Oh, look at that. That's sick. And that's the thing. Like, your life isn't over, completely ruined or whatever. I can understand where it seems scary. Like, reality bends and all that fun stuff, but, oh, there's a shipwreck. But I mean, it's only temporary. And so many people did it in the 70s. Well, they either did military or that. And sometimes they did both, like the men that stare at goats. They did like LSD and stuff, and that's even wackier. So, and that's more synthetic. That's more. It's not the same. I mean, mushrooms are like a natural medicine. Same. I haven't done peyote, but like I imagine that's very suspicious too. Oh, hey, actually, speaking of which, let's do some drugs. Actually, wait, we gotta wait until nightfall, I think. We're gonna eat some suspicious stew. What else is in here? There's a treasure map. We're gonna do it. Okay. Wait, was there anything else in here? I mean, not really. Okay. Um. All right, we're already going that way. Cool. So, anyways, Colorado's doing that, and it's awesome. And President Trump's pick for the Health and Human Services Secretary of Health or whatever, RFK Jr. is an advocate for at least studying psychedelics and using them for medicinal and clinical ways. Oh, there's the snooze alarm. But, and I agree with that. I think we need to be very careful. It needs to be only adults. Like, I mean, teenagers, yeah, we consider 18 to be adults, technically. So, and I would say even like once you're able to drive, I think you're probably able to do a spiritual journey. I mean, I wouldn't give them to it. I think that's super illegal, and I support that. But like if a parent, and even that's weird too. Never mind. If they went to a show, I guess I don't know, but I'm not condoning underage use. But 18, I think that's okay. And the prefrontal cortex doesn't finish developing until your mid to late 20s, so that's a concern. But then alcohol is way worse on any of that, and you know they all out there drinking at least by the time they get to college. So, anyways, with that, I am going to switch over to. I mean, there's the treasure, but I'll leave that for the next time. And there's a. Oh, in fact, we'll just leave it like right this. It's so much awesome in one. There, we've got half of the map explored more or less. And I'm gonna go do. I don't have a red man, so we're just gonna do Boba Fett or something else. I'll figure it out. But I did get Snoop. I bought the Snoop pack, and then I bought the Eminem pack. It is tribute to two other very big legends. Snoop Dogg was one of my first CDs I got. My sister had Eminem CD, so I did listen to some of that. Although that was some psycho stuff, so I didn't really listen to it like on repeat, like I do Snoop Dogg, and then even more so Redman. Like he's my favorite. Him and Method Man are hands down my favorite hip hop and rapper artists. So on Rec Room's updated too. So anyways, ta for now. Sorry for the very long one, but I just wanted to talk about interesting interactions in Vietnam. The rest are very positive. Like, and I don't think that was even super negative. I just think I made the kid awkward, and I think he was a kid, like maybe like just 18 or just 20, like talking about girls, and I was like, college. There's lots of girls and or lots of women. I think I changed it to women when I translated it over. So it's funny, but and I'm old too. I got a beard now. All right, anyways, ta for now. I'll see you in the next one.